Trail cameras, they're an integral part of my wildlife photography, but how do you get the best out of them? Well, watch on and find out. In my view, there are three main reasons to use trail cameras to help your wildlife photography. One is to figure out what wildlife can be seen. Two is to figure out where wildlife can be seen. And three is to figure out when wildlife can be seen. So I'll be breaking up this video into those three sections, but first, let's get on with some general tips. You're going to want to buy some rechargeable batteries for your trail camera, because if you've got to buy new batteries every time you've got to replace batteries within your trail camera, it can get very expensive. Now, I just use Amazon Basics rechargeable batteries, but there are better and more expensive alternatives out there. Buy spare SD cards. This way, every time your SD or batteries need replacing, you can keep your camera exactly where it was and just stick in the new batteries and SD card and away you go. Also on SD cards, buy a big SD card. If you're planning on taking video with your trail camera, it can get very storage heavy. The other thing a big SD card is useful for is for misfires. So this is when your trail camera takes a photo or a video at a time where the wildlife isn't passing through. Now, there are a few things we can do to reduce the chance of misfires happening. Try and place your trail camera away from any overhanging branches or leaves that could sway in the way of the motion sensor in the wind. I can't tell you how many times I've come back to a trail camera with completely dead batteries, a full SD card, but no animal sightings whatsoever. It's also a good idea to have your camera facing down on an area, because this can reduce misfires and also keeps your camera out of the way of any wildlife that you want to find. As you can probably tell, my cameras do get quite muddy, and most of the time that is due to badgers' noses coming up and snuffling their way onto these trail cameras. Does make for good footage, but it can cover the lens and basically means for the rest of the time that it's out, it's completely pointless. Lastly, make sure you have your camera attached to something stable. So don't put your camera on a branch or anything that can move in the wind, because as the camera moves, the sensors inside it think that it's seen movement in front of it, and then we'll have loads of misfired footage as well. Now, if you've got any more tips that I've not included here, then please do let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to do a list so it's highlighted down in the comments for everyone to see. But now, let's get on to how to ascertain what wildlife is in an area. I first got a trail camera to try and see whether there were any hedgehogs that were visiting my parents' garden a few years ago. There were, however, it was mostly cats that were causing these trail cameras to fire. But it did let me learn the basics of where to place a trail camera, which gets me on to probably the most important thing, and that is animal paths. Most animals are creatures of habit and would always take the path of least resistance. And animal paths are usually well-trodden paths that many different animals will go down. Be that deer, foxes, badgers, rabbits, anything like that. And once you get your eye in, these animal paths are pretty easy to spot. If you're lucky enough to have a big enough garden and a not overly maintained lawn, then you should be able to see some within your own garden. However, if like me, you've never had a garden that big, then I'd recommend going out to your local woodland or local fields and just seeing what you can find. With just a little bit of searching, you should be able to see some obvious signs of trodden paths in the undergrowth that are utilised by different types of animals. It is always a good idea to get a trail camera set up on an animal path to begin with, because it will give you as good an idea as to what wildlife is in the area. Now, another idea is to find a small water source in your local area and then sticking a trail camera down there too. All wildlife must drink water, so there's a solid chance that you'll get a good variety of species at a water source. So, After a while, you should have a good idea of what wildlife can be seen in the area, but now it's time to get a little bit more specific and do a bit of your own searching. If, for instance, you're getting a lot of badger activity on your trail camera, there's a good chance that there will be a set nearby. By utilising fieldcraft and local knowledge, then there's a good chance you'll be able to locate a badger set. Next, it's time to see whether that set is active or not. Usually there are signs of dug up mud and turf, but if you want to be 100% sure, then get a trail cam set up. Now, if you're successful with that and getting plenty of activity, then perfect. Now it's time for some trial and error. Sets can be extensive, but by moving your camera to different entrances and holes over every 3 or 4 days, you'll get a very, very good idea as to which their main entrance is. And if you've got plans to do your own photography out in the field by yourself with a camera, finding out their main entrance is absolutely key. Now we're finally getting somewhere, but the key with many species is knowing when they're going to be out and about and whether that time is going to be conducive to your own photography. So you can build up a database of timings from when your trail cameras were firing, but for the use case of badgers, and particularly urban badgers in my case, this can mean a lot of travel back and forth to the set every few days. So, what if this isn't for you? Well, I have been lucky enough to get sent this 4G solar-powered trail camera by K&Fconcept, and it has been a revelation for me. I've been travelling an awful lot over the last few months, and I've been taking this with me everywhere, setting it up God knows where, just so I can see what there is there. And the benefit with this is because of the 4G SIM, it links directly to your phone. So every single morning, all I'll be doing is first thing I do when I wake up, going on my phone and then seeing what I've captured the night before. It comes with a dedicated app, which means that you can wirelessly control the camera and also is used as a database for all of the photos and videos that have been taken using this trail camera. You can then download them directly onto your phone and voila. So how has this helped me? Well, badgers around here come out very, very late in the day and for most of the year after sunset. However, as the days are getting longer, there is more of a chance that I'll be able to head down there with my camera to photograph them in the last half an hour of daylight. So rather than continuously going back and forth from the set, checking out the timings on the trail cameras, I can do all of this in the comfort of my own home. Oh, and another thing, if you can get the solar panel set up where it's seeing direct sunlight, you won't ever have to charge these batteries. So it means even fewer trips out to the trail camera, and it has saved me A, a lot of driving time, and B, a lot of petrol money. If you are interested in taking a look at this camera, then there will be a link in the description below. And if you have any questions whatsoever, then drop me a message or an email. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Now, unfortunately, my local badgers are not yet coming out at a time when I can photograph them in daylight, but fingers crossed that will be changing very soon. Have you guys managed to use a trail camera for any specific photography projects? If you have, then do let me know in the comments below. Right, well that's it for another week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers!